Last week I made a video about the downfall of Jake the Viking's reputation and relevance, as he completely destroyed his public image with just a couple of tweets. Now, in that video I spoke about his consistent lying about MrBeast, him constantly contradicting himself and changing his opinions based on whoever he's talking to, and of course the situation with his brother-in-law Jefferson Charles, aka Delaware. And I thought that would pretty much be the end of it. I was certain that Jake was gonna go down the mini-lad route of desperately ignoring the drama and pretending that nothing ever happened while still constantly uploading, but contrary to my original belief, Jake the Viking actually responded, and it's complete garbage, which is why I am here today to tear this response apart. But before we get into it, I just want to quickly mention that YouTube Studio tells me that the majority of my viewers aren't actually subbed to the channel, so if you enjoy my content and want to see me upload more, then please subscribe, because I'm trying to get to 850 subs this month and we can for sure make it. Also like the video. Anyway, thank you for the support and back to the video. Now, the first thing about this response that you will notice is that it's not actually available on YouTube anymore. Cause Jake the Viking deleted his response less than 10 hours after he uploaded it, cause people were rightfully trashing him for it. So in order for me to even be able to dismantle his terrible response, I gotta plug it from a reaction stream from the YouTuber Quintheo, so shout out to him for archiving this. So if you're not caught up to date with the subject matter at hand here, essentially, Jake the Viking got accused of hiring a registered sex offender as his manager, continuously lying about MrBeast, showing endless hypocrisy, blaming his own failure as a YouTuber on MrBeast, and he also got accused of littering. Now, the littering accusation was the least relevant one, so much so that I didn't even bring it up in my video, and take a wild guess to which allegation Jake responded to. Yeah, the littering. So he ignores all the damning evidence to try and argue against the littering accusation, and the worst thing is that he still somehow came out looking worse than before after he posted the video, which is honestly quite impressive. Alright, so he titled the upload "Jake Weddle is a liar, the truth about the forest incident," and he starts it off by going straight at Jake Weddle.
Jake Weddle and I'm calling you out because you can't keep my name out your mouth for whatever reason. I mean, you said it yourself, it's political.
Now, if you don't remember Jake Weddle, the guy recently got popular for sharing his story about his mistreatment at MrBeast. And he accused Jake the Viking of littering during the filming process of the video, spending 24 hours on top of a mountain, where MrBeast and his crew left most of their equipment up on the mountain instead of bringing it back down. And Jake Weddle alleged that Jake the Viking was responsible for the littering, and his irresponsible actions even led to Dustin, an OG member of the MrBeast crew, breaking his ankle while trying to carry stuff down, going against Viking's orders. Now, Jake the Viking defends himself by alleging this.
24 hours on a mountain. We did it right here in North Carolina on Grandfather Mountain. There was 11 of us. Jake Weddle was the director of that set, which, guess what that means? Clean up. Damn, that's crazy.
So he's essentially saying here that since Jake Weddle was the director of the video, that it is his job to clean up after the shoot. And I don't really agree with this stance at all, because I think it's pretty obvious that as a director it is your job to organize everything and make sure everything is planned out. However, I don't believe that you have to do everything yourself necessarily. Jake Weddle was in charge of directing the video logistics, and the cleanup afterwards. And for the cleanup, Jake Weddle decided that Jake the Viking plus 3 other members of the MrBeast crew should take their time to carry everything off the mountain, and obviously they were getting paid to do it. And I think that is not necessarily a bad decision by Jake Weddle, since Viking was definitely the strongest and most physically capable member of the MrBeast team, so it made sense for him to be the one in charge of carrying everything down the mountain. Therefore, I definitely don't agree with the sentiment that Jake Weddle was in charge, and this automatically makes it his fault that the filming location wasn't cleaned up afterwards, because Jake Weddle clearly instructed Jake the Viking to take care of the cleanup and even gave him 3 people to help out. And the fact that it was Viking's job later gets confirmed in the video as well. So already it's not off to a great start. Viking is trying to shift the blame. Now he then tries to paint Jake Weddle as an incompetent producer.
When we finally made the 2-hour hike to our little camping spot, Delaware and his assistant left to go back down the mountain to get more stuff. Yeah, there was supposed to be more stuff. Upon them getting to the bottom of the mountain, they were met by, National Park, the park rangers, whatever they are, and said, hey, you don't have permission to film here because Mr. Jake Weddle, director of the crew, did not get the proper documents filled out and signed for us to have permission to film on the mountain. So Delaware and his assistant had to handle that business with the park rangers to get the papers filled out and signed so that the rangers wouldn't come up there and kick us off the mountain because Jimmy wanted to do this video 24 hours on the mountain.
Now, Jake the Viking is implying that Jake Weddle showed absolute incompetence by not getting MrBeast the permission to film on the mountain. But I'm going to defend Jake Weddle here because I don't think it's a realistic expectation for anyone to know that you need a permission to film on a mountain. To be honest, if you gave me the task of setting up this MrBeast mountain challenge, I would have not even once thought about getting permission to film there, because I would have believed that anyone was allowed to film. Like, what stupid law is there that prohibits me from filming on a mountain unless I contact park rangers beforehand? I feel like the fact that MrBeast needed to get that approved was very uncommon and pretty much an unpredictable scenario for the producer. Cause I went hiking in the US quite a bit when I lived there and filmed some of it as well, and I never needed to get permission from anyone. Or at the very least, I never knew that I had to. Like, to be fair, it's been a couple of years since I had to leave the US, so maybe laws changed, but from my understanding, needing a permission to film on a mountain should be a pretty uncommon and abnormal thing. So I don't blame Jake Weddle in the slightest for this, cause I would have not thought about that either. And I don't think Jake the Viking would have, by the way.
And we're getting everything packed up, ready to leave, and Jimmy, Chris, Chandler, Jake Weddle, and Pizza Mike all take it upon themselves to descend the mountain, not carrying a single thing. So again, there's 9 of us on the mountain with 11 people's worth of stuff. 5 people have now left the mountain not carrying anything, which has now left 4 people on the mountain, me, Garrett, Connor, and Dustin on top of the mountain with 11 people's worth of stuff. And again, this is a 2.5-hour trek up and down with some very dangerous elements to it. Jake Weddle quite conveniently left that part out where he did not help carry anything down, even though he's the director and he's supposed to help be in charge of everything, including cleanup, but he did not do that. So now it's just me, Connor, Garrett, Dustin on top of the mountain. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get as much down as possible, and we kind of all came to the agreement. I did lead the conversation 100%. I mean, I'll admit that. But at the same time, it's what else are we supposed to do? There's a shitload of stuff on top of this mountain. It's a 2.5-hour trek. We can't carry everything. Jake Weddle also left out the part because, again, he wasn't there, so he just made this shit up. Me, Connor, Garrett, and Dustin were all carrying a lot of stuff. A lot. I think I had 2 or 3 book bags. I had 2 tents. I also had the camera gear. Connor and Garrett had the same. Dustin had the same. We were all carrying a lot of stuff. The rest of the stuff got left on the mountain.
Alright, so this is basically the meat and potatoes of Jake the Viking's side of the story. Delaware and his assistant left the mountain to deal with the park rangers. Jimmy, Chandler, Chris, Pizza Mike, and Jake Weddle then left the next day not carrying anything, leaving Jake the Viking, Connor, Dustin, and Garrett on the mountain with the task of carrying everything down. Since everyone left, they felt screwed over and decided to leave parts of the trash on the mountain because they were incapable of carrying everything down the trail. So had Jake the Viking not been abandoned by his friends, he wouldn't have littered. Now, there are a bunch of things wrong with this line of thinking. Firstly, why did you not just go up and down 2 times? It's not like any of these people were on a strict time limit, meaning Jake, Connor, Dustin, and Garrett could have simply taken as much as they could reasonably carry on day 1 down the mountain, then returned the next day and carried the rest down. Or this operation could even be spanning across 3 or more days, since there was absolutely no time limit to carry everything down. So there was absolutely no reason that they couldn't have just came back the next day to take care of business. And also, Jake the Viking is being extremely disingenuous here when he says he left it on the mountain, because in reality, according to multiple sources, Jake didn't leave the stuff there. Jake actively threw everything that was left on the campsite down the mountain. So it literally landed in the middle of nowhere, somewhere on the mountain with no trail leading to it, which also explains why they didn't just come back the next day, because Jake the Viking threw everything down the mountain, and that is an absolute dick move. So I don't believe Jake's side of the story here at all. No matter how you look at it, Jake is still the bad guy here, and Jake made the terrible decision. So I think he's pretty much 100% in the wrong in this situation. The only thing you can realistically criticize Jake Weddle for is not carrying anything when he left the mountain himself. But then again, Jake Weddle left on Jimmy's orders and he thought that the cleaning crew would take care of the rest. Because you know, they were the cleaning crew. So I don't think he really deserves to be criticized for anything here. If anything, Jake the Viking could have just asked Jake Weddle to take something down with him. Now, then Jake decided that he's gonna show text messages proving his side of the story. So he goes onto his phone to find them, and after over 2 minutes of searching, he doesn't even find them. Like, what type of evidence is this? I understand why he deleted the video now. And then he caps off the video by insulting Jake Weddle and accusing him of only doing all of this for money.
So then we have Weddle coming out, making it like a big deal, like it was all my idea, it was all my fault. And it's like, dude, you were the director of the set. If anyone knows, the director is the main guy in charge.
I'm just gonna go to the end.
You're also in charge of what everyone's doing, and also the setup and cleanup and breakdown of the set. And you just left. And so I don't know why you're coming to me. So, and I just saw your video today where you said you ended my career. No, you didn't, bro. I've been doing this for the 4.5 years now since I got fired. I ain't going nowhere. I mean, I don't know why you're coming to me. It makes no fucking sense. Thought we were boys. Evidently not. I guess you gotta throw my name around to get money. You try to say you're not doing this for money, but you know, as soon as your YouTube channel gets monetized, you have to post a clickbait video of Jimmy. You're constantly posting your Patreon, and then you're constantly posting like, I can finally afford half my rent. You're doing it for money, and it's so blatantly obvious. And stop. Do your normal content. Have your fun time, bro. Stop stirring drama with like me, because it's the fuck that I do.
And this is just so bizarre. Like, no points are being made. It is just straight up personal attacks, and that is just so unnecessary. And I don't think Jake Weddle is necessarily doing this for money. If he was just after money, he would have definitely stayed on MrBeast's good side, or even better, stayed with the team. I mean, he didn't even take the $190,000 MrBeast offered to him as an apology. So saying that he's doing this for money doesn't really make much sense to me. I think Jake is just upset that just because people are currently hating on MrBeast, and he's doing the exact same thing, people aren't automatically supporting him. And I can tell Jake the Viking why people aren't supporting him, because he's full of shit. He lies and contradicts himself constantly. There are so many allegations leveled up against him at the moment, and he has now made a response video tackling the absolute least relevant accusation. And he still somehow managed to come out of this looking worse than before. This was extremely pointless. Jake, if you're watching this, then respond to the actual allegations. Anyway, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like the video, share your opinion in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.